Ms. Supriya Shrinate will speak.
Thank you very much, Brijesh, to my esteemed colleagues here on the stage with me, and to the media here. A good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for being here. And now that Kerala is at the doorstep of a very decisive election, it is perhaps important to take stock of what is really happening as far as law and order and police excesses is concerned. And I will just name a few people before you, and I'm sure you can put the dots together, you can connect the dots together. I will, in a brief while, also talk about them. Yeah. So before I give those names, like Brijesh ji said, I come from Uttar Pradesh. I live and work in Delhi. I head the social media for the Congress party, and I must say, I'm a big admirer of what Keralam stands for, of the people here, and the kind of things that Keralam has been able to achieve. I'm a huge admirer of your tenacity. I am an admirer of your spirit. I am an admirer of your love for literature and arts. And amidst it all, as an onlooker, while I admire it, and while I admire what the people of Keralam have been able to collectively achieve, it pains me to a certain extent to what is happening in a state which is India's most literate state, perhaps India's most well-read state. You know, a state which achieved 100% literacy before anybody else did. And in a state like that, when freedom of speech and expression is denied, or when protests are considered as attempts to murder, or when custodial deaths happen, it pains me to a great extent because it doesn't go with what Keralam stands for. And which is why there is a demarcation between what the people of Keralam stand for and what the LDF government has been doing consistently. I am not going to even go back into the previous term of this government. I'm essentially going to focus my attention on this very term of the LDF government, on this very term of Pinarayi Vijayan. And quite frankly, I come from Uttar Pradesh. I have never seen hoardings as big as the ones I'm seeing in Keralam with your chief minister's pictures. They are really huge. There really is a lot of money that is being spent in this election. Huge posters, huge hoardings. I have not seen anything like this. Of course, I've seen Mr. Modi inspired pictures and posters like that. So it does look like Mr. Vijayan has taken a leaf out of the Modi style of governance and the Modi style of campaigning. I'm going to give you 7 or 8 names just to connect the dots really. Mr. Sampath of Idiki District 2021. Mr. Rajan of Kollam 2021. Mr. Santosh of Thiruvananthapuram. Mr. Samir of Mallapuram. Mr. Sajeev of Patnam Tata. Mr. Satyan of Trishur. Mr. Shihab of Calicut. Mr. Suresh of Allapura. These are just few names. And you know what's common between all these 8 names? These were all 8 brutal custodial deaths that have happened in this term of the left LDF government. That have happened right under the nose and in front of the eyes of the chief minister. A state that is so literate. A state which has taught so many lessons to this country. How does one live with custodial deaths of this nature? And they don't just stop at that. The numbers are huge. There are custodial deaths, there's custodial torture also. But before I go to custodial torture, and I have names here as well, just for your information. I remember one of our colleagues, V.S. Sujit from Trishur. He's a temple priest by profession. And how brutally he was assaulted and physically abused. And not too long back, but in 2023. I remember how two youngsters on a flight while the chief minister was traveling merely showed two black ribbons as a mark of their protest. And they were lodged in an attempt to murder case. How does protest become an attempt to murder? And how is that even justified? I am reminded of the yatra that the chief minister undertook from Kasaragod to Thiruvananthapuram, and KSUI members showed some black flags of protest. They were beaten up brutally, taken into custody and assaulted. I remember a railway station where I saw visuals and I didn't see anything untoward. Some people asking questions of your health minister, Ms. Veena George, and they were remanded to 14 days of custody. How is that even justified? How is it justified that the leader of the opposition, Mr. Satishan, gives an interview in which he's critical of the government? He's putting forward facts and he's putting forward figures, and he's asking the government some very relevant questions on lapses and misgovernance. And that interview was taken down at the behest of the Keralam police. He's the leader of the opposition. He has been elected by the people. He has been entrusted with a task to ask those questions. And an interview in which he's asked those questions, in which he has put forward those facts, that interview was taken down. This is exactly out of the Modi rule book of governance. Exactly how New Delhi works. And I see such parallels that they amaze me. I see parallels where I can't make peace with the fact that how is it happening in Keralam and how is it going so unchecked? And it's not as if people keep quiet, by the way. There are several complaints against the high-handedness of the government, against the brutality of the police, but all of those complaints don't seem to throw up any results. All of those complaints don't seem to throw up any accountability. The reality is that several cases have been filed against institutional overreach, against policing and lack of accountability. But none of that really comes up with solutions. And which is why one wonders, how is this model of governance being allowed to continue in Kerala? Which is why one says that Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan is actually Keralam's Modi. That's exactly the Modi rule book of governance. You speak against me, I'm going to take down that post. You question me, I'm going to call you anti-national. You speak against me in parliament, I'm going to switch off your mic. And that's exactly what is happening in Kerala. The reality is that the leader of the opposition here, Mr. Satishan's interview was taken down. If student wings of the main opposition is protesting, you are putting them in jail, you are assaulting them. If two people put out a black ribbon, you are saying it's an attempt to murder. No! Democracy has to have very, very strong roots. Democracy is functional when people are allowed to question custodial deaths. It's a very high number for a state like Keralam. The names that I have given here, whether it's Mr. Sampath or Mr. Rajan, Mr. Santosh, Sameer, Sanjeev, Satyan, Shihab, Suresh, these are all people. These were all citizens of Keralam. They have families, they have friends, they have well-wishers who still continue to seek justice. You know, inquiries are set up, but that inquiry throws up nothing. And instead, on the other hand, we see a huge overreach of the police at the behest of the state government. And so the questions will be raised that why is the LDF government, why has the LDF government consistently drawn from the Modi book of governance? It's almost a parallel. It's almost a mirror image of what's happening in Delhi. I actually didn't believe it till I saw the names and the figures myself. How is this being allowed in a state as wonderful and as beautiful and as incredible as Keralam? And which is why we believe that the overreach of the institutions, the overreach of the police, the brutality, the clampdown on freedom of speech, expression, protest is a huge election issue. People will vote very decisively and people will ensure that justice is done to some of the names that I have brought forward to you. And as far as our own manifesto is concerned, the key directions of our manifesto on this topic certainly is about restoring governance systems, restoring balance there, strengthening accountability frameworks. There has to be accountability at every level of governance, from the chief minister to the lowest rung of governance. The police cannot be in an overreach mode and not be accountable. The police cannot become an extension of the ruling party. And that's exactly what we are seeing in New Delhi. The ED, CBI, the income tax, the police, they have all become frontals of the BJP, much like they have become frontals of the LDF or the left government here. These institutions were envisaged by the Constitution to ensure that our democracy remains strengthened, that our democracy remains protected, that our democracy functions for the people, not against their interest. And who are these people? They are not hardened criminals. People who are showing marks of protest with black banners or black ribbons or black flags are citizens of Keralam. They are unhappy, they are dissatisfied with some of what you are doing in government. And they have every right to protest, and that right is given to them by the very constitution that you are attacking by doing what you are doing. And so, I will only end by saying that as far as accountability is concerned, it has to be reset. Balance in governance has to be reset. There has to be complete transparency in governance, and which is how you will rebuild the public confidence, which is how you will encourage people to ask questions. I'm sure after I finish my statement right here, I will be asked several questions. Some of them may be tough questions. Some of them may be questions that, as politicians, we might not want to answer. But that is your right. And that is a right that the Constitution guarantees to each one of us, to question those in power, to hold those in power accountable, to raise our voices when it matters. And under no circumstances can we be denied the right to do precisely that. So this is exactly what I wanted to speak about. Anything else that you would want me to add? I'm open to questions that you may have on this topic or anything related. I suddenly see no questions. Anything that you'd want to ask on accountability or transparency that we've spoken about. And I will just want to share a little bit of my experience. I had been to Kochi before and now here. The way the LDF is contesting this election, it is, I see, when I was driving from the Thiruvananthapuram airport to the office, I see the roads plastered with posters of Modi, but if there is a poster that shines over above him, it's the chief minister. So the model of governance is concentration of power, it is lack of complete transparency, the chief minister being this overarching figure. And I'm very proud of the fact that we in the Congress party believe in inner party democracy as much as we believe and advocate democracy outside. And we are very proud that we have a plethora of leaders who are contesting this election, who will win this election. We have Mr. Gandhi who is campaigning and canvassing here. And I'm reasonably certain that the people will repose their trust, their faith in UDF, and we will go past that 100 mark. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bite? Okay. This is ours.
You want to do it here on your